Hi guys, it's Mrs. Moss here. Now we learned about physical and chemical weathering, which is the breaking down of rocks. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens to those rock pieces or sediments once they've been sitting over time. Now, we're starting with the same question that we ended with, which is what is the end product of weathering? And that would be sediments. Now, sediments are classified by their size, and you've seen this in page 6 of the Earth Science Reference Table, but we'll just quickly go through it again. So we have on the right-hand side, we have the list of sediments and their sizes. So we have clay, which is the smallest of the particles, silt, sand, pebbles, cobbles, and boulders. Now, the end result of weathering and biological activity, as we said, was sediments, but over time it results in soil, and we end up with soil. Let's talk about how this happens. How does soil form? Well, soil forms by the breaking down of rock and adding organic material through decomposition. So we're talking about the dead plants and animal parts and all kinds of leaves and all debris that was once alive. It gets into the ground, and over years and years and years and more breaking down and more weathering occurring, it forms soil. Now there are different soil layers that take us from the top at the surface all the way down until we hit bedrock. And we're going to explore that a little more. You see here a great picture of the different layers and how we go from the top surface where all of the grass is and the organic material is, and how as you go lower and deeper into the earth, how the material changes. So let's look at these soil horizons. They're known as layers or horizons, okay? Layer A is the topsoil, and that's where we have the rotting plants, the organic part, and the organic material that makes up the soil. And we also have the finely weathered rock. Layer B, as you go a little deeper, there's less organic material and partially weathered rock. Going even deeper, layer C is partially weathered bedrock. That's the part where we lose the organic material once you hit layer C. And layer D is bedrock, and that's just solid rock. So you're going to need to get down this diagram, and you are going to have to write down the layer soil the soil horizons. So again, we're going to start at A with the topsoil, going into B, where we have very little plant life left or organic material, and some more weathered rock. And then C, where we have partially weathered rock, but little to no organic material. And then again, layer D, which is our solid bedrock. Now here's a picture of it in real life, and you can match the soil horizons to what we just said in our previous slide. We have the top layer, which makes up soil A, horizon A. Then we have B, which is still including the organic material, the roots of plants and maybe some decaying plants that have gotten forced downward into the soil. We have layer C, where it's mostly just larger pieces of weathered bedrock, and then layer D. There we go. So here's C, and here's layer D, which is the bedrock. Now, there are two types of soils, and when we're talking about these soils, we're talking really about the soil that's at the top of the surface. We have transported soil, and we have residual soil. Transported soils are carried by wind, water, or humans from one location to where it originally formed. So we call the location of its original formation the parent rock or parent soil. When it has been moved, it no longer remains with its parent soil, it goes elsewhere. And most of New York is transported from glaciers. Here's a picture of humans transporting soil, and this happens all the time, especially if you are a gardener and you need to enhance your soil. You may go to the nursery and grab more topsoil, put it on top after a long winter and revive your soil so that you can plant new flowers or new plants for the spring. Now, residual soil is soil that was formed in the parent location and it remains on top of that bedrock. So it is similar in composition to the bedrock that it formed from below. So here's a picture of New York State with all the different types of soil that can be found around the state. Now looking at Long Island, because that's where we're from, we see that Long Island is mostly medium to moderately coarse soils and gravels and sand. Okay, that makes sense. We know that we did come from glaciers, so having that coarse sand makes sense. And we are an island after all, so it does make sense. But it's interesting to see that different locations around New York State can have very different types of soil and sediments that are found there. And that's the end of weathering. We'll see you next time when we start talking about erosion. Have a good day.